Reserve Warden William Kimosop is a man who likes to take things in hand. But here, he can only watch helplessly. Up to 2 million dwarf flamingos used to wade in Lake Bogoria. They were the main attraction in this Kenyan Rift Valley Nature Reserve. Now there are only a few tens of thousands. For quite a while, they'd been leaving in droves. There's a reason for that. Flamingos live on the blue-green algae in the lake. It used to have a high salt concentration, and the algae grew well. But lately, the salt in the lake has been diluted by fresh water. Kimosop says that's due to movement in the rock layers under the lake. About 250 kilometers away, in a lodge near Nairobi, a major issue is being discussed: all the nature reserves in the world. What makes a nature reserve work well? An international team is compiling criteria and defining standards for a green list of well-managed protected areas.
It's not just about giving a sticker to the very best managed parks. It's actually a process to help all parks to improve and reach a better standard of management.
The 100-square-kilometer Lake Bogoria National Reserve is a prime candidate for the Green List. In 2011, it was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The lake seems to have fallen out of time with little human intervention. Lake Bogoria is considered a well-managed nature reserve. But William Kimosop has no influence over the disappearance of the flamingos.
Our management response to that is our continuous monitoring by the scientists. They do the water sampling in different areas to check on all the factors, including the algae level, the pH. Nature is sometimes it is the best way to do is just to understand it. But in many ways, you cannot change much. We are very much dependent on its own cycles.
There are no fences. The people in the surrounding area and their animals have free access to the reserve. It's under local administration, and that's how the people see it, as their nature reserve. Heavy rainfalls and flooding are frequent. Local people are allowed to build temporary shelters in the nature reserve. But that can also lead to difficulties. This woman has just told Kimosop that her goats were attacked by a baboon.
They could have killed the baboon, yes. But then, all of a sudden, they also remember that they are living, the water displaced them, and they are living in that same area. In a situation like this, we all depend on each other. And that is actually the essence of our management approach.
Biodiversity conservation is the reason why we establish protected areas, but if we don't work with communities, we won't succeed in protecting biodiversity. So it's a necessary partnership.
The reserve's hot springs are a major attraction. John Bereke teaches a school class about why they bubble here. Bereke is one of about 50 people from the surrounding villages who work in the nature reserve. Benefit to the local community is an important criterion for the Green List. The boys here have learned something and had fun boiling eggs a la Bogoria.
There's no man who made the water to boil, so it's a natural process and everybody is excited to be here.
The young people here are the next generation protectors or conservationists, and we couldn't get it better than giving them information here.
We look for a greater kudu. This antelope species has become rare in Kenya, but there are about 300 of the shy animals in the nature reserve. And suddenly, we come upon one, even though it's a small greater kudu, a juvenile. And here are two females. There's been a drought for months. The farmers' pastures are dried out. They're allowed to take their cattle into the nature reserve. They leave natural trails open for the kudus. They could close them off because kudus attract predators that could threaten their cattle, but they don't. The credo here is finding compromises that benefit everyone. William Kimosop refused to make compromises with Philip Yator. Yator used to be a notorious poacher. Now he's a good farmer and member of a community group.
When I was just poaching the kutus, Kimosop come and tell me that you have just to do bad. Now, can you just leave these things because it is just a few in our lake? Now, I just left the kutus.
Philip has since inspired many other people that they have come out and say, yes, this thing is bad, I think we need to do something else. And many, many more other people like him have stopped poaching.
William Kimosop's skill in managing conflicts is one reason Bogoria is such a promising candidate for the Green List. The experts in the Green List camp are discussing global standards for good management. But how would being on the Green List benefit nature reserves?
It can be important, for example, for tourists who might be going to those protected areas to have confidence they're going to a site which is well managed, where they're likely to be able to see the sorts of values that the protected area was set up to protect. And it could mean even enhanced funding for protected areas.
And the flamingos? For them, the past few months' drought has had its good side. William Kimosop says the salt content of the lake is rising again and the algae are multiplying. So there's hope flamingos will once again flock in their millions to Lake Bogoria.